This is Terry Stewart, and I'm reviewing an article titled The Effectiveness of Online Learning Beyond No Significant Difference in Future Horizons. This study was written in the Merlot Journal of Online Learning and Teaching, Volume 11, Number 2, in June of 2015. In summary, the abstract of this article goes something like this. With the old brick-and-mortar classroom losing its monopoly as a place of learning, the ability to learn online, especially at the higher education level, is increasingly important. Because of this, researchers and educators must consider the effectiveness of online learning as compared to face-to-face learning, and they must determine factors that influence the success of online courses. This study tries to examine the effectiveness of online learning by positive, negative, and mixed findings. The major question this research addresses is the question of, to what extent does the body of work on online learning indicate that online learning is at least as effective as face-to-face learning in educating students? So I wrote my paper in a little bit of a different way. I didn't give the whole summary at once and then critique the article. I critiqued the article as I was going. First of all, do I think this is a valid research question? Well, absolutely. I think this is a valid research question, and based on the fact that all of us in this class have decided that the online or hybrid setting will work for us, this should be an interesting question for us to hear the answer to. For the purpose of the paper, I am reading hybrid and purely online courses are lumped into one category in comparison to face-to-face learning. Critiquing this methodology, I already have kind of a problem with this. I, for one, feel I would be very unsuccessful in a purely online course. I need to get together face-to-face for my own understanding, my ability to ask questions with immediate answers, and to be able to follow up immediately if I need to. I need to be in a class where other students, like Shelley, may bring up issues and problems that I had not thought of, but may help me understand the course work. When Dr. Rizai did his initial questionnaire, as I recall, most of us said we would rather be in a hybrid course, and at times we wanted instruction by the professor. Another issue addressed in the article is that as the gap between salaries of high school graduates and college graduates widens, at a time when college tuition costs are also rising, online courses need to be analyzed due to the marginal cost to the student of an online course. What? Did I miss the big tuition break CSULB gave me for doing most of my work online or at home and not taking up space in one of their brick and mortar classrooms? I'm pretty sure I paid the same amount for a 4-unit course whether I came to school, did the course work fully online, or as a hybrid course. Where is this guy getting his information? Oh, by the way, I think it's a 3-unit course. Another. Oops, when was this paper written? Oh, it was written in 2015, but the author of this article questions whether online courses will be given the credit equivalency of face-to-face classes. I better be getting my 3 units out of this course. Positive findings. Onward to the positive findings. Our author states that some of the positive learning outcomes are improved learning as measured by test scores, student engagement with the class materials, improved perception of learning and of the online format, stronger sense of community among students, and reduction in withdrawal or failure. Well, how the heck do you measure that? If there are studies that actually show positive results, I think many factors need to be taken into consideration. I did not see any of those things outlined in this paper for me. First of all, I think it's a particular type of learner to take and be successful in online courses. My thought would be that most learners who take an online course do so because of the time constraints in their day which would not allow them to come to campus. For example, a job of caretaking for children or parent. This type of learner may be more motivated to succeed because the successful outcome from the course may directly affect their income or their job. As an example, those of us in this course are probably here because we need the units to keep our jobs. That is a very high motivator for success, right? Other factors that I think would be interesting and important to consider are the age of the students who take online courses, their sex, race, ethnicity, gender, previous achievement in school, high achievers as compared to lower achievers. I did not see that any of those factors were considered when looking at the positive findings of online learning. In another study, the author suggests that there was a stronger sense of community in an online learning course as opposed to face-to-face. Well, how the heck did they measure that? I kind of had fun writing this paper, can you tell?
I'm really jealous of your...
In a study funded by the Department of Education, a team of Stanford researchers analyzed literature up through 2010. And after analyzing 45 studies, came to the conclusion that students in the online format performed modestly better than those in a traditional format. Almost as an aside and making it sound that it was not particularly important to the study, he noted that the difference in student learning outcomes were larger in studies where online elements were blended with face-to-face instruction. And these blended conditions often included additional learning time and instructional elements not received by students in the control conditions. Well, that kind of throws the whole study out the window in my mind. Another area was titled null findings. The author states that there are many, many more studies that found null results for the effects of online learning than positive findings. Oh my goodness! He chose to cite Thomas Russell's seminal work, who compiled over 350 studies on distance learning all the way back to 1928. What was distance learning in 1928? You read the Bible while traveling the distance to your grandparents' house? This may have been my favorite section of his study because he also noted that in a study by Zhao et al. 2005, the research found that there was a highly more positive than null finding in overall online learning. However, he noted Zhou et al. Found the presence of the Hawthorne effect, where there was a tendency to find favorable findings for distance or online education if the researcher was also the instructor of the course. Oh my gosh, I wish I had a picture of that emoji like this. However, one finding I do agree with is that they're finding that the most recent studies of distance learning found more positive results than the older findings. That was probably an obvious one due to the continuous upgrading of software programs. Okay, on to the negative findings. Last but not least are the negative findings. Out of the three groups, this group has the least number of studies to reference. Some other shortcomings of this study is that the author did not really introduce what I thought were any unbiased studies. What I mean by that is there were no studies where students were randomly selected and put into one type of class or the other. I think an argument could be made that students who pick online courses feel they can be successful in online courses. So you'd really need to pick students randomly and assign them face-to-face courses or online courses. But then, who would give up an entire semester for a study? Not me. And finally, his conclusions are poor. He says it would be all too easy altogether to jump on the online learning bandwagon or to discuss it as a fad that will go away. Really? Are online classes ever going away? Then he says, overall, there is strong evidence to suggest that online learning is at least as effective as the traditional format. But the evidence is by no means conclusive. Online learning is a story that is still being written, and how it progresses will likely depend on those present. I don't know. That doesn't really sound like a strong conclusion to me.